Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you guys for coming out to this program today. Something Strange This Way Comes. Horror stories with live score by noise musicians in the back here. Give it up to the musicians, please. Give it for these wonderful guys. My name is Sam. I run this thing called Stay Strange, and all of us are part of it. Don't forget, okay? We got some wonderful readers today. We have just so many cool things going on. Jeff Terich, Mandy Galarza, Patrick Loveland, Clint McCallum, Edward Lansabre. Yeah, did I say that right? Is he outside? Ed? I'm sorry? Longsobra, yes. Julia Evans, and a couple of surprises in between. But I'd like to bring up our first reader, Jeff Terich.
I'm reading Where Are You Going, Where Have You Been by Joyce Carol Oates. One Sunday, Connie got up at 11 and washed her hair so that it all could dry all day long in the sun. Her parents and sister were going to a barbecue at an aunt's house, and Connie said no, she wasn't interested, rolling her eyes to let her mother know just what she thought of it. "Stay home alone, then," her mother said sharply. Connie sat out back in a lawn chair and watched them drive away. Connie sat with her eyes closed in the sun, dreaming and dazed, with the warmth about her as if this were a kind of love, the caresses of love, and her mind slipped over onto thoughts of the boy she had been with the night before, and how nice he had been, how sweet it always was. It was too hot. She went inside the house and turned on the radio to drown out the quiet. She sat on the edge of her bed and listened to a program called XYZ Sunday Jamboree. Record after record of hard, fast, shrieking songs she sang along with. After a while, she heard a car coming up the drive. She sat up, startled, because it couldn't be her father so soon. The gravel kept crunching all the way from the road, and Connie ran to the window. It was a car she didn't know. An open jalopy painted a bright gold that caught the sunlight opaquely. Her heart began to pound, and her fingers snatched at her hair. The car came to a stop at the side door, and the horn sounded 4 short taps, as if this were a signal Connie knew. She went into the kitchen and approached the door slowly, then hung out the screen door. There were 2 boys in the car, and now she recognized the driver. He had shaggy, shabby black hair that looked crazy as a wig, and he was grinning at her. "I ain't late, am I?" he said. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Connie said. "Told you I'd be out, didn't I?" "I don't even know who you are." She spoke sullenly, careful to show no interest or pleasure, and he spoke in a fast, bright monotone. Connie looked past him to the other boy. He had fair brown hair with a lock that fell onto his forehead. Both boys wore sunglasses. The drivers were metallic and mirrored everything in miniature. "You want to come for a ride?" Connie smirked and let her hair fall loose over one shoulder. "Don't you like my car? New paint job," he said. "Hey." "What?" Connie blushed because the glasses made it impossible for her to see just what this boy was looking at. She couldn't decide if she liked him or if he was just a jerk, and she dawdled in the doorway and wouldn't come down or go back inside. "I want to introduce myself. I'm Arnold Friend, and that's my real name, and I'm going to be your friend, honey." And inside the car is Ellie Oscar. He's kind of shy. Ellie brought his transistor radio up to his shoulder and balanced it there. "Now these numbers are a secret code, honey," Arnold Friend explained. He read off the numbers 33, 19, 17, and raised his eyebrows at her to see what she thought of that. But she didn't think much of it. "Don't you want to go for a ride?" She recognized most things about him. The tight jeans and greasy leather boots and the tight shirt. Even that slippery smile of his. That sleepy, dreamy smile that all the boys used to get across ideas they didn't want to put into words. She recognized all this, and also the sing-song way he talked, slightly mocking, kidding, but serious and a little melancholy. And she recognized the way he tapped one fist against the other in homage to the music behind him. But all these things did not come together. "Maybe you two better go away," Connie said faintly. "What? How come?" Arnold Friend said. "We come out here to take you for a ride." "You two better leave." "We ain't leaving till you come with us." "Like hell I am." "Connie, don't fool around with me." Don't fool around," he said, shaking his head. Connie stared at him, a wave of dizziness and fear rising in her so that for a moment he wasn't even in focus, but just a blur standing there against his gold car. And she had the idea that he had driven up the driveway all right, but had come from nowhere and belonged nowhere, and that everything about him, and even the music that was so familiar, was only half real. "If my father comes and sees you," "He ain't coming, he's at a barbecue." "How do you know that?" "Aunt Tilly's. Right now they're drinking, sitting around," he said, vaguely squinting as if he were staring all the way down to town and over to Aunt Tilly's backyard. "Honey," he said, "you still listening?" "Get the hell out of here." "Be nice, honey. Listen. I'm going to call the police." She watched this smile come, awkward as if he were smiling from inside a mask. His whole face was a mask, she thought, tanned down to his throat, but then running out as if he had plastered makeup on his face, but had forgotten about his throat. "Honey, I always tell the truth, and I promise you this. I ain't coming in that house after you." "You better not. I'm going to call the police if you..." "Honey," he said, "I'm not coming in there. But you're coming out here. You know why?" The kitchen looked like a place she had never seen before. Some room she had run inside, but that wasn't good enough. Wasn't going to help her. The kitchen window had never had a curtain after 3 years, and there were dishes in the sink for her to do. Probably. And if you ran your hand across the table, you'd probably feel something sticky there. Soon as you touch that phone, I don't need to keep my promise and can come inside. And you don't want that. She rushed forward and tried to lock the door. Her fingers were shaking. It's just a screen door. It's just nothing, Arnold Friend said. One of his boots was at a strange angle, as if his foot wasn't in it. It pointed out to the left, bent at the ankle. I mean, anybody can break through a screen door and glass and wood and iron or anything if he needs to. Anybody at all, especially Arnold Friend. If the place got lit up with a fire, honey, you'd come running out into my arms, right into my arms, safe at home. Like you knew I was your lover and stopped fooling around. What do you want? Connie said. If I call the police, they'll get you. They'll arrest you. Promise was not to come in unless you touch that phone, and I'll keep that promise, he said. I ain't made plans for coming in that house where I don't belong, but just for you to come out to me the way you should. Don't you know who I am? You're crazy, she whispered. She backed away from the door, but did not want to go into another part of the house as if this would give him permission to come through the door. This is how it is, honey. You come out, and we'll drive away. We'll have a nice ride. But if you don't come out, we're going to wait until your people come home, and they're all going to get it. Leave me alone, Connie whispered. Hey, you know that old woman down the road, the one with the chickens and stuff? You know her? She's dead. Dead? What? You know her? Arnold Friend said. She's dead. Don't you like her? She's dead. She isn't here anymore. He touched the sunglasses perched up on top of his head as if to make sure they were still there. Now you be a good girl. What are you gonna do? Just 2 things. Maybe 3, Arnold Friend said. But I promise it won't last long. And you'll like me the way you get to like people you're close to. You will. But it's all over for you here, so you come on out. You don't want your people in any trouble, do you? She turned and bumped against a chair or something, hurting her leg, but she ran into the back room and picked up the telephone. Something roared in her ear, a tiny roaring, and she was so sick with fear that she could do nothing but listen to it. The telephone was clammy and heavy, and her fingers groped down to the dial but were too weak to touch it. She began to scream into the phone, into the roaring. She cried out. She cried for her mother. She felt her breath jerking back and forth in her lungs as if it were something Arnold Friend was stabbing her with again and again with no tenderness. A noisy, sorrowful wailing rose all about her, and she was locked inside it the way she was locked inside this house. Arnold Friend was saying from the door, "That's a good girl. Put the phone back." She kicked it away from her. "Pick it up. Put it back right." She picked it up and put it back. The dial tone stopped. "That's a good girl. Now you come outside." She was hollow with what had been fear, but was now just an emptiness. All that screaming had blasted it out of her. Deep inside her brain was something like a pinpoint of light that kept going and would not let her relax. She thought, "I'm not going to see my mother again." She thought, "I'm not going to sleep in my bed again." Arnold Friend said in a gentle, loud voice, "The place where you came from ain't there anymore. And where you had in mind to go is canceled out. This place where you are now, inside your daddy's house, nothing but a cardboard box I can knock down any time. You know that, and always did know it. You hear me? We'll go out to a nice field, out in the country where it smells so nice and it's sunny," Arnold Friend said. "I'll have my arms tight around you so you won't need to try to get away, and I'll show you what love is like, what it does." She felt her pounding heart. She thought for the first time in her life that it was nothing that was hers, that it belonged to her, but just a pounding, living thing inside this body that wasn't really hers either. "You don't want them to get hurt," Arnold Friend went on. "Now get up, honey. Get up all by yourself." Connie brushed her hair back out of her eyes. Arnold Friend let go of the post tentatively and opened his arms for her, his elbows pointing inward toward each other and his wrists limp. She watched herself push the door slowly open as if she were back safe somewhere in the other doorway. Watching this body and this head of long hair moving out into the sunlight where Arnold Friend waited. "My sweet little blue-eyed girl," he said in a half-sung sigh that had nothing to do with her brown eyes, but was taken up just the same by the vast sunlit reaches of the land behind him, and on all sides of him. So much land that Connie had never seen before, and did not recognize, except to know knew she was going to it. Thank you.
This is a story I wrote called Husbands. The 9th husband came home early and found me making chicken tikka masala for the future 10th husband. I made him a plate as well, and he said, "It's all right." The future 10th said, "It's really good, B." I said, "Thanks, guys." The 9th husband said, "Is this something I wasn't supposed to know about?" "Right," I said. The 10th husband was the last. The night we were married, he said, "I think you should never love again." And I laughed. "It's pretty romantic of you," I said, a little naive. "I'm going to cut out that part of your brain." I laughed again, but not as confidently. There's no single part of your brain that makes you love. I didn't know, though. I wanted to look it up on my phone, but I'd promised I wouldn't go on my phone during the honeymoon, not even for work, not even for Google. "I'll cut out all the parts." "Go ahead," I said, just to be in control. The procedure, surprisingly painless. "I'm in," he said. "Did you clean that?" I asked. "Clean what? You don't even know what I'm holding." "Let me see. Get a mirror." He handed me a mirror, and he said, "I probably just got germs on my hands from the mirror." I felt only pressure, more of a tugging sensation than pressing or probing. It was easier than the dentist. "Why doesn't it hurt?" I asked. "I gave you some topical stuff," he said, leaning down and making eye contact in the mirror. He kissed the uncut side of my scalp. "I can't believe you'd think I'd go in without pain meds." "I mean, inside my bone, my skull, my brain." "Well," he said. I watched as he used some sort of tool, wherever he got these I didn't know, to extract a thread-thin segment of flesh, brain, tissue, bloodless. "That's not where love is," I said. I didn't remember anything else. It left only a crescent-shaped incision about the length of a hothouse green bean above my ear. I wore my hair in a high ponytail, one side of my head shaved. I felt punk. I phoned the first husband. "It's B. B, oh my God, how are you?" "Fine, you?" "Yeah, fine, too. I got remarried last year." "I heard. I got remarried again, too." "Again? What is it now?" 10. "Nice." "He removed part of my brain," I said, "to get me to stop." "Stop?" "The husbands." He laughed. Good luck to him. "I wish I could remember more stuff about us," I said. 8 more phone calls, all quite the same. And then I started calling each of the husbands regularly just to hear their voices. You don't even answer my texts anymore, the 10th said. Your texts aren't that interesting, I said. And I smiled because I felt like if he was the one who was going to operate on my brain, I was going to be the one to win this. Send me something interesting. He'd wait until I was in the other room on the phone with one of the other husbands, and then I'd hear the doorbell-like chirp of a text message muffled against my ear. I'd pull the phone away, still able to hear the former husband, depending on which number it was, because numbers 3 and 7 were soft-spoken, and I was generally the one who carried any and all conversations. And I'd hope for a boring text. I'd hope for angry, hope to watch the 10th go insane, hope for anything other than him being interesting. I think, the 10th said when I was going down on him. I messed it up. I pulled my mouth off with a pop. Messed what up? Your brain, he said. I think I removed the wrong part, and I made you just fall back in love with the other husbands. I think it's a memory thing. I think you're right. Let me try again soon, he said. At work the next day, the 10th texted me twice an hour, and I hated that I found them interesting. At 11:30, he sent me a picture of his dick and the caption, "Do you wish there was a way to go into your brain and make the old husband's peens as massive as mine?" I waited 15 minutes and then typed, "Nah, you're probably the 4th biggest if I'm remembering right, NBD." At 2:30, he texted me a picture of his balls. I wrote back, "Your balls are deaf the biggest, though." By 3:30, he was just texting me Seinfeld quotes. At 5, right when I turned off my monitor for the night, my phone lit up with, "Who said, 'This woman hates me so much I'm starting to like her'?" I'd never seen Seinfeld and wasn't about to start. "You said that," I typed. By 6 p.m., he set up the bathroom while I ate a BLT standing up in the doorway. I watched him pull all the tools from a glass jar of liquid like at the barber shop, something he didn't use last time, and I wondered if he'd actually stolen that from an actual barber, and if so, was it still filled with whatever comb disinfectant they used? "Ready?" he asked. "Can I change in case I have to go to the hospital? I want to be in good hospital unders." "Those are fine." I changed anyway. I appreciated how he lined up the new incision to match the old one, but as soon as I felt that first tug of that familiar, painless pressure inside my skull, I didn't feel right. The room spun. My 10th husband looked blurry in the mirror like there were actually 8 of him. 8 times 10, 80 husbands, I slurred, giggling a sputtery, wet laugh, and I couldn't see my own face. It wasn't showing up in the mirror, a blind spot. "Where's my face?" I said. "Stop talking," he said, and it sounded quiet for 8 people talking. "Keep still." And I think even in my blurry descent, I knew he was fucking it up. "I feel fine," I said, lying in bed, testing the edge of the bandages with my fingertips. "You shouldn't." "But I do. I like you again." "Oh, well," he said, "then it's a roaring success." And he smiled, and I was charmed and in love. "But I'm still worried about what I did to you." I watched him glance to the bathroom, and I saw it on the counter, near piles of weird flesh. Brain, my brain, so much of it. The violence of this betrayal would have been easier to take before he fixed the love thing. "I want to turn," I said, "with yours." "Okay, B," he said, "whatever you want. I feel terrible." "Well, it was your idea," I said, not trying to make you feel worse, though. He helped me walk to the bathroom, and we didn't clean up the brain mess on the counter and only dipped the tools in the now murky barbershop comb cleaner before I began. And there to my left must have been the depth perception chunk of my brain because I dug in too deep the first pass. And next to that piece on the counter must have been my pity because I scooped hard. I only feel pressure, like he said. It's weird, kind of cool. And floating in the barbershop jar must have been the part that would have stopped me. I piled the pieces of the 10th cerebral tissue next to all the pieces of mine, so they were together, mixed up like the DNA of the children we'd never have. Piles and piles, so little blood, all things considered. And then it was mostly his, and then it was too hard to scoop when his head was slumped off to the side like that. I think I messed it up, I said from the floor. And then I put my head back against the wall, a dull ache setting in, fatigue overwhelming, and I waited.
A brief preface. With much regret, I cannot recite gifts, and the following is verbatim in chronological order. 11:43 a.m., October 14th, 2012. I have never seen a thin person drinking Diet Coke. 1:48 p.m., October 22nd, 2012. Everyone knows I am right, that Robert Patterson should dump Kristen Stewart. In a couple of years, he will thank me. Be smart, Robert. 9:33 p.m., November 6, 2012. This election is a total sham and a travesty. We are not a democracy. 9:45 p.m., November 6, 2012. The Electoral College is a disaster for a democracy. 9:35 a.m., May 3rd, 2013. Amazing how the haters and losers keep tweeting the same fuckface Von Clownstick, like they are so original and like no one else is doing it. 2:46 a.m., August 31st, 2013. Be prepared. There is a small chance that our horrendous leadership could unknowingly lead us into World War III. 9:21 p.m., September 28, 2014. Every time I speak of the haters and losers, I do so with great love and affection. They cannot help the fact that they were born fucked up. 5:03 p.m., October 13, 2014. Can you believe that, with all the problems and difficulties facing the U.S., President Obama spent the day playing golf? Worse than Carter. (8:57 a.m., 16 June 2015. I'm officially running for President of the United States. Hashtag Make America Great Again. (11:57 a.m., May 5, 2016. Happy hashtag Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics. (11:37 a.m., September 30, 2016). For those few people knocking me for tweeting at 3 o'clock in the morning, at least you know I will be there, awake, to answer the call. 5:23 a.m., October 15, 2016. Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted and should be in jail. Instead, she is running for president in what looks like a rigged election. 1:30 p.m., November 27, 2016. In addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote, if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. 9:50 a.m., December 22, 2016. The United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes. 5:44 a.m., January 11, 2017. I win an election easily. A great movement is verified, and crooked opponents try to belittle our victory with fake news. A sorry state. 7:52 a.m., February 7, 2017. I don't know Putin, have no deals with Russia, and the haters are going crazy. Yet Obama can make a deal with Iran, #1 in terror, no problem. 3:35 a.m., 4 March 2017. Terrible. Just found out that Obama had my wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism. 4:02 a.m., 4 March 2017. How low has President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon/Watergate. Bad or sick guy. 5:30-17, 9:06 p.m. Despite the constant negative press, Confeve. 6:07 a.m., 17 August 2017. Sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments. 6:15 a.m., 17 August 2017. Can't change history, but you can learn from it. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. Who's next? Washington? Jefferson? So foolish. Also, 6:21 a.m., 17 August 2017. The beauty that is being taken out of our cities, towns, and parks will be greatly missed and never able to be comparably replaced. 11:45 a.m., 17 August 2017. Study what General Pershing of the United States did to terrorists when caught. There was no more radical Islam terror for 35 years. 5:04 a.m., 5 September 2017. Congress, get ready to do your job. DACA. 3:20 a.m., 14 September 2017. The Wall, which is already under construction in the form of new renovation of old and existing fences and walls, will continue to be built. 4 a.m., 15 September 2017. We have made more progress in the last 9 months against ISIS than the Obama administration has made in 8 years. Must be proactive and nasty.